Did your favorite rock star actually die, or are they living in witness protection? Three of the biggest names in music history supposedly faked their deaths to escape fame, and the evidence is more convincing than you think. Here are 13 conspiracy theories surrounding rock and roll history. The members include renowned figures such as Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, and Amy Winehouse, but there's plenty of other, less notable musicians who were 27 at the time of their death. But the pattern started even earlier. Robert Johnson died in August 1938, just months after his 27th birthday, from strychnine poisoning after drinking from an open bottle of whiskey, with no official cause of death recorded. Here's what's disturbing. Johnson left behind recordings of just 29 songs from a 9-month period near the end of his life, but these have gone on to be some of the most influential recordings in the history of modern music. He essentially created the template for rock and roll, then died mysteriously at 27. The four 1960s deaths happened within just 2 years of each other. Kurt Cobain died at age 27 on April 5, 1994, and Amy Winehouse followed in 2011. According to biographer Charles R. Cross, it wasn't until Kurt Cobain took his own life in 1994 that the 27 Club concept took hold. But what if the pattern isn't a coincidence? What if there's something about age 27, when artists reach their creative peak but haven't yet learned to navigate industry pressures, that makes them particularly vulnerable to elimination? Jimmy Page bought Aleister Crowley's mansion in Scotland and filled it with occult artifacts. Their fourth album contains backwards messages, and Page openly practiced ceremonial magic. But the real evidence is in the timing. Led Zeppelin went from session musicians to the world's biggest band almost overnight in 1968. Their sudden success coincided with Page's deepest involvement in occultism. John Bonham's death in 1980 effectively ended the band, and Page has never directly denied supernatural involvement in their success. When asked about his occult interests, he gives cryptic responses that fuel more speculation. In November 1966, Paul McCartney allegedly died in a car crash and was replaced by William Campbell, a look-alike contest winner. The surviving Beatles supposedly left clues in their music and album covers. On Abbey Road, Paul walks out of step and barefoot, symbols of death. The license plate reads 28IF, Paul's age if he had lived. When Revolution 9 Inches plays backwards, you hear, "Turn me on, dead man." Paul's height changed between 1966 and 1967, and he switched from right-handed to left-handed. Life magazine investigated in 1969, but believers claim Paul's responses only confirmed the replacement theory. Elvis Presley didn't die on August 16, 1977. He faked his death to escape Colonel Parker's control. Parker was an illegal immigrant who couldn't leave America, trapping Elvis domestically when he wanted to tour internationally. Elvis worked undercover for the DEA, giving him government connections to create a new identity. His death certificate lists his middle name as Aaron when it was legally Aaron. The funeral was closed casket despite Elvis wanting an open service. His gravesite at Graceland is allegedly empty, and groundskeepers report strange activities around the grave. Government documents released decades later confirmed Elvis's DEA work, but they won't reveal if he's still alive. Seattle's grunge scene threatened corporate music, so the industry systematically eliminated its leaders. Kurt Cobain's suicide note showed handwriting inconsistencies, and he had too much heroin in his system to pull a trigger. Alice, in Chains' Lane Staley, became a recluse after Cobain's death, allegedly fearing he was next. When Staley died in 2002, friends claimed he'd been clean for months. Chris Cornell died in 2017, just hours after expressing concerns about industry corruption. Each death effectively ended their band's anti-establishment influence, allowing manufactured pop to dominate again. Rock bands embed subliminal messages in songs using backwards masking, vocals recorded in reverse that program listeners' subconscious minds. Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven contains "Here's to My Sweet Satan" when played backwards. The Beatles included multiple reversed messages throughout their catalog. Electric Light Orchestra openly admitted to backwards masking. Religious groups demanded congressional hearings, and several countries banned albums containing the technique. Modern digital software reveals the practice is more widespread than originally believed, with messages allegedly promoting everything from drug use to political ideologies. Major record labels are allegedly fronts for a secret society controlling global culture through music. Hand symbols in videos, all-seeing eye references, and hidden lyrics are everywhere once you know what to look for. Michael Jackson spoke out against industry power structure before his death. Prince battled executives for creative control throughout his career. Both died under suspicious circumstances, according to theorists. Streaming algorithms supposedly promote society members while suppressing independent artists, creating an invisible ceiling only members can break through. In July 1966, newspapers reported Bob Dylan suffered a motorcycle crash near his Woodstock home that forced him to cancel extensive tour dates. But here's the problem. Nobody actually witnessed the accident. Dylan claimed he suffered broken vertebrae and wore a neck brace during recovery, yet no medical records or police reports exist. At his creative peak, Dylan was known for self-mythologizing stories, most of them untrue. He'd just gone electric and faced hostile crowds booing him at every show. Was the crash real, or did Dylan stage it to escape the pressure? The timing was perfect. It got him out of touring while his folk fans were furious about his rock transformation. He completely exiled himself from society for 7 years, emerging as a completely different artist. What really happened on that Woodstock road? Robert Johnson allegedly sold his soul to the devil at the Crossroads in exchange for otherworldly musical talent, only to pass away at 27 years old. The suspicious speed of Johnson's improvement, mixed with the superstition that blues was the devil's music, led to the emergence of the now famous legend. Johnson was a mediocre guitarist who disappeared for months, then returned with supernatural ability. The crossroads of Highways 61 and 49, where Robert Johnson allegedly sold his soul, is commemorated with 3 blue guitars. He recorded only 29 songs in his lifetime, yet influenced every rock guitarist who followed. His death at 27 started the infamous 27 Club pattern. But here's what's strange. Johnson's recording techniques were decades ahead of his time, using guitar tunings and chord progressions that wouldn't become common until the 1960s. How did a poor Mississippi sharecropper develop such advanced musical knowledge? In the 1960s, Laurel Canyon became the epicenter of American rock music, home to the Doors, the Byrds, Buffalo Springfield, and the Mamas and the Papas. But conspiracy theorists claim this wasn't coincidence. It was orchestrated by intelligence agencies. Many Canyon residents had parents in military intelligence or worked in defense industries. Jim Morrison's father was Admiral George Morrison, who commanded U.S. naval forces during the Gulf of Tonkin incident that escalated the Vietnam War. Frank Zappa's father worked on chemical warfare projects. The theory suggests the counterculture movement was artificially created to discredit anti-war protests by associating them with drugs and rebellion. Canyon musicians promoted drug use and anti-establishment attitudes, while their parents worked for the very system they claimed to oppose. The Beatles weren't the only band allegedly replaced by lookalikes. Conspiracy theorists claim multiple rock stars died and were secretly replaced to protect record industry investments. Avril Lavigne supposedly died in 2003 and was replaced by actress Melissa Vandella. Evidence includes changed facial features, different handwriting, and personality shifts in interviews. The real Avril was left-handed. The replacement is right-handed. Her music style completely changed after 2003, and she stopped writing her own songs. Dave Grohl of Foo Fighters is allegedly multiple different people, explaining his seemingly supernatural energy and ability to play every instrument. The theory claims record labels maintain stables of trained replacements for valuable artists who become liabilities. The vinyl revival isn't organic nostalgia. It's manufactured scarcity designed to inflate music industry profits. Digital music destroyed album sales, so labels artificially created vinyl demand through limited releases and exclusive pressings. They control pressing plant capacity, creating artificial shortages that drive up prices. New vinyl often costs more than the original pressing from decades ago, despite cheaper production methods. The warm analog sound claim is marketing. Most modern vinyl is sourced from digital files, not analog masters. Streaming services pay artists almost nothing, so labels need physical sales to maintain profits. The conspiracy claims vinyl collecting is a coordinated addiction designed to extract maximum money from music fans. Jimi Hendrix was naturally left-handed, but his father forced him to play right-handed guitars, believing left-handed playing was a sign of the devil. So Hendrix flipped right-handed Fender Stratocasters upside down and restrung them backwards. But here's what nobody talks about. This wasn't just adapting to circumstance. The inverted setup created unique string tension that's physically impossible to replicate on standard guitars. Hendrix would switch back to right-handed playing whenever his father was around, proving he could play both ways. Yet no guitarist using conventional setup has matched his sound in 50-plus years. Was the upside-down technique the secret to his legendary tone? Look, some of these theories are obviously ridiculous. Robert Johnson probably didn't sell his soul to Satan, and Paul McCartney is clearly still alive. But here's what's unsettling. The music industry has a documented history of manipulation, cover-ups, and exploitation. Record labels have been caught rigging charts, payola scandals have exposed corrupt radio programming, and artists regularly die under suspicious circumstances. When Kurt Cobain's private investigator still questions the official suicide ruling, when Elvis worked as an actual government informant, when musicians' family members openly work for intelligence agencies, you start to realize that maybe not everything is as innocent as it seems. The line between conspiracy theory and industry reality gets pretty blurry. Whether you believe these specific theories or not, they all point to the same uncomfortable truth. The rock and roll industry isn't just about music. It's about power, money, and control on a scale most people can't imagine. And when that much money is involved, people will do whatever it takes to protect their investments. So next time you hear your favorite song, just remember, there might be more going on behind the scenes than a simple love of music. Let me know in the comments which theory you found most convincing, and if you know any other rock conspiracies I missed.